Welcome back to our coverage of the GAMA Trade Show 2016. I'm Eric Summerer here with Kim from Kosmos, and we have a number of boxes to show off.
We do.
Let's go in order as far as the closest release. What do you want to talk about first?
So we have two-player card games that are available right now. They just came into stock a couple weeks ago.
And these are both classic titles from the classic two-player line from Kosmos.
They are, yeah. And so when we launched into board games last year, everybody kept asking us when we were going to come out with more two-player games.
Yes.
As we get many, many requests all year. And fortunately, the two most requested ones were available for us to introduce to the U.S. So,
excellent. So we've got
Tallyho and the Rose King, which is also known as Rosenkönig in Europe. So Tallyho is a tile game where one player is hunters, represents human hunters, lumberjacks, and actual hunters. And then the other player is animal hunters, so there's bears and foxes. And so you take turns flipping over tiles, and once you start flipping over and start seeing where the different characters are placed, you can either move your tiles into empty spaces to get into a better position, or you can overtake the prey. So there are ducks and pheasants hiding out.
Right, and the hunters are facing certain directions, and there's rules about who defeats who in what situation.
You can only move certain directions or certain numbers of spaces. It's a little bit like chess in that way, where you kind of have to think ahead.
Yeah.
Kind of plan where your open spaces are, and where you can and can't move. Sometimes you get blocked in by trees, other times you might run out of moves. So it's a really fun game. It's about a 30-minute play time, and it's for ages 8+, but it's one of those games that can scale up or down very, very easily.
Speaking of where you can and cannot move, the Rose King, also, movement is dictated by these movement cards.
It is. So there's a little bit of strategy, a little bit of luck involved with this. So these different cards will tell you how many spaces you can move and in what direction. And each player has these power cards, which allow you to overtake your player and kind of flip it over from their color to your color and vice versa. So yeah, it's definitely it's a little bit of strategy, but depending on what cards you've got in your hand, like you said, it depends on where you can and can't.
Right, and you can see what the other player has in front of them, so you know what their ability is when you set them up for something. What changes have been made from the classic versions of these games to bringing them to a new edition?
They're very, very similar, and the gameplay is almost exactly the same. What we do when we kind of reinvent or reintroduce these is retranslate everything. So we take the original German instructions and then just do our translation of it, our interpretation of it. So as far as the gameplay goes, there's no major changes. It's just the way that we interpret how to explain.
Right. Okay. Artistic upgrades, anything like that?
Not so much with the Rose King. Tallyho has a little tweaks here and there, but essentially, it's very similar. You might see the two side by side and at first glance would not recognize it as a completely different game.
So next up, for fans of the Legends of Andor, you have a nice large box.
Yes, we do. And so we've only been here for a couple hours on this first day here, and we've seen many people walk by and squeal with delight. They're just beside themselves. So this is a full board expansion for Legends of Andor. It's got two-sided, beautiful art, and a lot of the same components that and makes Andor such a strong game. In this series, you're picking up from the base game, and you're going to help a distant land that's in trouble. So all of the journeys and the challenges are sea-based. So you get on a ship, you got to stock your ship. Along the way, you come across different islands, and you need to help those people defend their coastlines.
You've got a picture of the board here that we can sort of show off. This is all mock-up box essentially. But there's a lot of water on that.
A lot of water, yeah. So you've got sea monsters to deal with. You've got storms. You've got weather. You've got all these different islands you have to help protect. So very narrative-driven, and again, a lot of difficult decisions that you and your teammates have to make along the way.
So what else do we have coming up?
So Imhotep is a multiplayer strategy game, and in this game you play Egyptian architects, and there are different construction sites that you can choose to build on. Each turn you can either quarry for your building blocks, you can place them on ships, or you can dock that ship to a certain construction site. Depending on where you dock it, your blocks will offload in very specific ways, and depending on how they offload and how they build up, determines the point value. So for instance, if you're building the pyramid, depending on the placement of the pyramid, it has a different point value. If you're building the obelisk, you want to have the tallest one. If you're building in the burial chamber, you want to have the most contiguous blocks of your color. So there's different types of ways that you can earn points. The kicker is that you can set your boat up to dock to a certain point. That's going to be very advantageous for you, but your opponents can use their turn to move your boat to a completely different site. So again, a little bit of luck, a little bit of strategy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and last but not least?
And last but not least, this is Smugglers. This is a 2 to 4 player family strategy game by Klaus and Benjamin Teuber. They are kind of departing from what you've known classic Catan.
Yeah.
They're starting to co-produce and co-author together, which is really nice. This is one of 3 Klaus and Benjamin Teuber games that we have coming out.
Excellent.
But in this game, you are trying to audition for Potato Charlie's notorious gang of smugglers, and there's certain different tasks that you have to complete along the way.
Okay.
The first round is to smuggle a little gem that represents different types of contraband in a little putty ball and roll it through the gate. So it's got to be small enough to fit through whatever gate you choose. There's different sizes.
So this is a physical dexterity game.
This is a very physical game. Yep. And so I know from experience, it's hard to judge how big that hole is.
Oh, wow.
So you got to get it through the hole. That's the first step.
Okay.
If you get it through the hole, then you have to outweigh your opponents, and that's what this scale is. It's going to be small enough to fit through the gate, but large enough to outweigh your opponents. And then there's a guessing component at the end where you have to try to guess what everybody else is trying to smuggle.
Okay.
If you guess right, you earn points. If you guess wrong, they earn points.
Oh, interesting. That's very different.
Yeah.
Very neat. Let's talk release dates. The Rose King and Tallyho, how far out are those?
Yep, so those are available right now.
Okay.
And they're shipping, right now in stock. Smugglers is coming about mid-June.
Okay.
Andor should be coming July, August.
Okay.
And we'll be releasing Imhotep at Gen Con this year on August 1st.
Excellent. Well, a lot of things to get excited about.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.